Thank you. All right, so Zok the Mishnah. Right, we got up to the last Mishnah last night. Yeah, there's an interesting rush based on, just because it was again these parshias. That what about a ger? Is a ger considered, like yesterday we said that we're considered b'nei Avraham and not b'nei Noach, because once Avraham started becoming religious, so then yidden Klal Yisrael transferred to becoming b'nei Avraham, right? Not b'nei Noach. So what about a ger? Is a ger considered a ben Noach or a ben Avraham? Meaning it's like to a neder, right? We said a neder. He says that I'm making a neder that I'm not going to be neder to ben Noach, so he's mutter in a yid. I'm sorry, that was the first mission of the Exodus. That he's not going to be neder from Zera Avraham. So then he's also be Yisrael mutter. So where does a ger? So the Rosh says no. A ger, once he's makabel Torah, becomes as if he's a ben Avraham too. Once you start being makabel mitzvahs, you're considered a ben Avraham, not a ben Noach anymore. All right, so it's very interesting. Okay, so Zok the Mishnah. Now we get into, this is in economics. This is a Mishnah for economics. A guy says, She'eni nena mi Yisrael. He says, I'm not going to get hana from a yid. All right. So now does that mean, can he do business or not? So lekeach b'yoser, he has to pay more money than the going rate for whatever it is that he's going to buy. And when he sells something to a yid, he has to sell it cheaper so that he doesn't get hana. Right? Meaning, if you have to buy something and you pay more than the going rate, so then you're not getting hana from the fellow, which I don't clearly understand, because you are getting hana from something. But I guess the overpayment takes away some of that hana, which we know that. We know, you know what I'm saying? You lease a new car, you pay for a flight, and the guy next to you got it for $1 cheaper, takes away half the hana. Right? So I think that's what the Gemara must mean. Right? So you have to pay more, even though you're going to get hana from it, but it takes away the hana if you pay more. And the same thing if you have to sell something at a very discounted price. That's the first case. Yisrael nen in loy. What about that? A Yisrael, he says, I don't want a yid to benefit from me. So lekeach bepachos u'moicher b'yoser. Then he has to buy it for cheaper, so he doesn't give hana to the seller, and he has to sell it for more, so that he doesn't give hana to the buyer, which ve'ein shoyman lo. That's just a practical thing. Who's going to listen to him, right? Imagine you go into a store and the store tells you, listen, the going rate is $10, but I need to charge you 15 because you're not allowed to get hana from me, because I made a neder that you're not allowed to get hana from me. So therefore you have to pay me more. So the guy will make an about face and walk out of the store and say, this guy's a meshugana. Right? Nobody's going to listen to him, but that's what would have to be. Then the last case, if he says that I'm not going to get benefit from them and not them from me, then he can only go with goyim. He cannot get hana or give hana to any yidden. Right, question is, what's the chiddush of this last line of the Mishnah? Fine. Now this next Gemara, very, very nagaya and lamaisa. I don't know exactly how we passing with this, but Omar Shmuel, halekeach kli min ha'uman. Somebody takes a kli from an uman, and the Ran says it means that why is he taking the kli? To see if it's worth money. When you're in a store, you pick up a kli, or you pick something up to check and see if it's okay, if you like it. And levakra, to check it out. Bananas biyada, and there was an einis in his hand, and it got broken. So he's chayev to pay for it. Right? Now, why is he chayev to pay for it? So the Gemara says, Alma kasavar hanas lekeachi. We see that the hana, somebody who's buying something, the hana goes to the purchaser. And since this guy, when he picks it up, he's a shomer on it, and he's going to get hana from it if he decides to buy it. So Mamela, he's chayev for mistakes. It would be a shomer chinam, so he's not chayev because he's doing the guy a favor. But if he's already getting paid, then he has he has to be more responsible. Yeah, and what's the owner gain with it? That this guy's watching it while he's holding on to it. Right? So the bottom line is what Shmuel is saying, that there is hana when somebody purchases something. So which is going to be a kasha from our Mishna. But either way, so when you're in a store, bottom line is you're in a store, you take something off the grocery shelf to check out the ingredients or whatever, and then it falls on the floor and it breaks. You chayev? I think American law, David, I don't know what the American law is that you're not, right?
I don't know what the American law is.
What's the right to policy?
It happens a couple times a week.
And
usually we don't make. I wouldn't charge.
Officially it goes under their insurance policy.
Yeah, usually we're not going to charge the person. Sometimes the person's nice and says, "I dropped something, I want to pay for it." But most times people just walk away and they ignore it and pretend like they didn't drop it.
I don't know. So because the halacha here is that they're chayiv. Now again, I don't know exactly. With all these cases of choshen mishpat, every scenario changes. Right, but here it sounds like the guy picks up a kli and then it drops. He's responsible, right? Because he's like a paid watchman. Anyways, so what do you see? So what's the so now the Gemara is going to bring a kasha. Tanan. Right, so the second part of the Mishnah says that I'm not going to, I'm sorry, this is the ration, right? I'm not going to benefit from any yid, right? So then what does he do? You have to sell it for less than what's going for. Well, let's say it was equal. Then you can't. And if it's another right, and even if it's shava b'shava, meaning Shmuel is saying that the seller does not get hana from a sale, right? The purchaser does. So if that's the case, he should be able to sell it even if it's a regular price. He doesn't have to give a discount. So that's the kasha. So Gemara says, "Masdis bezvina the rami al apei." We're talking about a sale where there's not too much. It's on his face is the literal translation, which means that he can't get rid of it. It's like an overstock. Nobody wants it. So if that's the case, he is going to get a hana if the guy buys it, takes it off his hand. So therefore he has to give it to him for cheaper. You want to say, ask him, Kain, aim a ratio. Let's say the ratio, if he buys it for more, right? I'm sorry, if he buys it, he has to buy it for more. That's one. So why does he have to buy it for more? Meaning, if nobody wants to buy it, he should be able to buy it even at the regular price, because he was the one that made a neder. He's not going to get a hana. So the seller's going to get the hana. Right? I'm a safer Yisrael then and Lee. If he says that I'm making a neder that a yid can't benefit from me, so he has to buy it for cheaper and sell it for more, which we said nobody's going to do. And if we're talking about sales that are on its face, meaning he's trying to get rid of it, then even shava b'shava, he should be allowed to sell it, since the guy buying it is buying something that is not, is no big mitzvah. The reason why he can buy it is because nobody wants it. So he says, seifa b'zmina charifa. No, the seifa is talking about where it's in high demand, right? It's chorif, it's hot, literally. It's mamash. You see, it's mamash Black Friday sugis, right? You got the products that are hot, and then you got the products that nobody wants, which is, I'm assuming, the ones that they discount. The Gemara says, so when you're saying that he has to sell it for less, he has to buy it for less, why he should be able even to do shava b'shava, since he's only buying something that's not worth much. So Ella, so Gemara changes. Ella masnisin bezvina. The Mishnah is talking about the middle. It's talking about where it's the standard pricing, and it's like your regular. Nobody wants it too much, and nobody doesn't want it. It's in the middle. Right? So therefore, it's going to depend on if the guy takes a loss on the sale or he gains from the sale. Shmuel, when he says that the guy that buys it is considered the one that gains, that's talking about where it's a hot item. And since it's a hot item, there is benefit for him that he got it. Right? Yeah, so Tanya Kav said the Shmuel, okay, kelim in a tagar. If somebody buys utensils from a seller, the shagra and the base chamav, and so this actually, believe it or not, somebody asked me a shaila on this yesterday, 2 days ago. A guy, similar shaila, this a guy buys utensils from a salesman and he wants to send it to his in-laws as a present, right? But what happens if the in-laws don't like it? And he says, if they like the present, then he knows in I'll pay you. Bim lav. And he knows in then all I'm going to pay you is the toivas hano. Meaning he got some hano from sending these utensils to the in-laws, right?
Did he? If they didn't like them?
There's a toivas hano that he attempted to buy them a present. It's the thought that counts, isn't that the thing? This is mamash inyan the yoma. This stuff is mamash. I don't know where Gershon Russell is, but that's right. Now we're on the Ahmed Beis, like 5-6 lines down for those that are looking. So the Brisa is saying, right? So the Brisa is saying that a guy goes to a store owner and says, I want to send a present to my in-laws or to his kala, whichever, to his in-laws' house. And he says that if they don't want it, if they give me, I'll pay you. If they don't want it, then I'm going to give you Toiva Sano because it's like a rental, right? He did take it away from the guy for a day or two. Right? So Nensu, and then what happens? The thing gets ruined. So Balicha Chayiv, if it got ruined on the way there, he's Chayiv because he was potentially a buyer of it. So really it's like his and he's getting enough from it. The Chazara, but on the way back, it's Potter. Why? Because he's like it's as if he's getting paid. Because he's like getting paid to watch this thing, right? And he's Potter on Einstein, right? Meaning he was having hana, etc., etc. So therefore, he's like a nice eisav. So you can say, well, but he's not getting any hana, and from now on, he's giving it back. Nobody wanted it from him. Say no, but since he had hana from it till then, so therefore he has to keep the hana, right? So. So somebody asked me the other night, he bought a book for his wife. I think the wife asked it. The husband bought a book for his wife, and the wife didn't want the book. So he said, okay, I'm going to return it tomorrow. And then he stayed up all night reading the book. He was so interested in it. So now, can he return it or not? Assuming that it's in good condition.
Isn't there a famous story with, what was the Robin Hard, the walked into a farm store.
You're blanking out.
I'm blanking out. Ravad Yosef, didn't he go into a farm store, read through a sefer, and put it back on the shelf?
Yeah, okay, but he didn't take it out of the store. That's on the Rabban, you're muted.
Right, but he paid for it.
Wouldn't you say if you read it that he can't return it?
Right, but he paid for it. That's what I'm saying.
He did pay for it?
Wouldn't you say if the guy read it?
That's the way the story goes.
He read it only because he read it.
Doesn't make a difference what the reason is. The bottom line is he took the book and he read it.
Okay, but that's not. Let's say I buy a book and you come into my house and see the book and say, listen, I'm returning this tomorrow. Right? He said, well, let me look through the book. So
I'm different than our guest is different than the person who bought the book.
I don't know either. I thought I wasn't sure, but based on this, he could give it back, but he would probably have to pay some sort of toivas hana. No, like what was his hana that he had the book? Okay, I'm not sure. So then hahu safsira, the shakal cham lazune v'lo yizben. So then there was a safsira. Safsira is an agent, right? So basically he sells on consignment. The shakal chamra lazune v'lo yizben. he took a chamor to sell and he didn't sell it. So Bahati the hadra is his chamra. But when he's on his way back, so the chamor had a ninus. So Chayve Rav Nachman l'shlumi, Rav Nachman said he has to pay, right? Because like we just said on the way back, so I'm sorry, it's a kasha what we said. That's the Gemara's kasha. We said that this guy who bought the present for his in-laws, on the way there he'd be chayav, on the way back he's potter. So why here is the safsira, this agent, this animal agent? Why is he potter? So Amarle, I'm sorry, why is he chayav? Amarle chazor the safsira halachi, because an agent that sells animals is considered like going. Let's say on the way back, so he went to the market to try and sell the animal. He didn't sell the animal, but on the way back, if he meets somebody and he says, "Hey, you want to buy an animal?" he will take him up on that, right? Even on the doorway to his house, wouldn't he sell it to him? Right. So therefore, it's considered like he's still on the way. Yeah, fine. Okay, Zok the Mishna. Now we get into bris for the next blot and a half. It's all about Mila. A guy says, I'm making a neder that I'm not going to get hana from an udal, right? An oral meaning somebody who doesn't have a bris. So does that mean, is that just a nickname for a goy, or does that mean that somebody who doesn't have a bris, a yid whose his siblings died from Mila, so would he not be able to get enough from them either? So we say muta bareli Yisrael, it would be muta.
What about Arabs?
What? Same thing, same question, right? Right. So does he mean goyim that have a mila or not? So muta bareli Yisrael, but also b'mulei of the chum, he's muta for arelim Yisrael, and he's usher with Arabs. B'mulei of the chum, meaning so basically an oral is just a nickname for a yid. Right, I think by the Chassidim they call him go to the udal, right? They go ask the udal if that's how they refer to goyim. But Sheini Nana Lemulim, he says that I'm not going to get hana from somebody who has a bris. So also bareli Yisrael. In that case, he's also from an oral who's a Yisrael. A Yisrael doesn't have a bris because he said he's not getting hana from those. Have a bris. An oral is meant as to refer to as a goy, not actually whether they have an oral or not. Now Gemara brings a few psukim. All the goyim are considered arelim, and the entire Beis Yisrael are considered arelim of the heart. And it says and they had this plishti who was an oral. That the plishtim should be happy and the daughters of the arelim should be happy. So you see that the pasuk is talking about the entire plishtim as arelim. The oral is considered disgusting because the rishoyim get put down because of it. Shenemar ki kol goyim arelim. All goyim are considered arelim. Now we start with all sorts of members about bris milah. Gedola milah shenichrusu aleh shleishes brises. Right, there's 13 brises that it refers to bris 13 times by in the program of 2 weeks ago about milah. So that's considered something chashuv. Rabbi Yossi Amar gedola milah shedoiches Shabbos. Milah is so great that it's doiches Shabbos, which is hachamura. Right? Obviously, we know that if a bris falls out on Shabbos, so you make the bris on Shabbos. So it's doiches Shabbos. Yeshuv and Karchaimer gedola milah shalei nitla loy leMoshe tzadik aleh. Right, but Moshe was not saved because of it. Malay Shah, even for an hour, right? The Gemara is going to go with the story with Eliezer. He didn't give Eliezer bris when he was traveling from Midian back to Yerushalyim to Mitzrayim, and then he got swallowed, or he almost died until his wife gave him bris. It pushes off tzaras, because if you have tzaras on the orla, so the din is you're not allowed to cut off with tzaras. which is a lav in the Torah. But if it happens to be where the bris is going to be, so then you can tear it off, you can cut it off, even though you're being over on a lav. So that's your classic essay doich loises. The mitzvah saseh of mila pushes off the loises of cutting off a tzaras. Rabbi Yomer gedola mila shekola mitzvahs she'asa Avraham Avinu. Mila is so great that all the mitzvahs Avraham Avinu did, like nikra shalem, he still wasn't considered complete at Shmuel until he had a bris. Shenemar esalig lefanai peyei samim. Go in front of me, and then you'll be complete.
He didn't do any mitzvahs. He didn't do any mitzvahs.
Well, you're talking about because of the malachim and
no, because he was in a mitzvah of eisav, so he didn't do mitzvahs. He had a mitzvah of eisav.
Yeah, but
he was a nice guy, but he didn't do mitzvahs.
True, but it's true, but I mean, it must have been. There's still some sort of schar. It's just not as good as mitzvah of eisav, I think. I don't know. I hope for the women's sake that's true. Right? Fine. If not for Mila, excuse me, Hashem would not have created the world. If not for the Mila, then I would not have Chukas Shemayim V'Aretz. I would not have made that. So, yeah, it's 4:10. Okay, all right. Let's we'll stop over here. And okay, tomorrow night's a little longer, but it's easy. It goes very quick. It's all about Mila. Fine. All right.
Where are you davening at the end?
YFR, I think. I might decide to go to Sulitz, depending. All right.
All right.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Very good shabbos.
Okay,
I see a lot of shoes here. Please clear it, man.